The rescue ship found Una Park on the 17th day after she activated the crystal. She was standing at the edge of the Korath settlement, surrounded by 600 Wolf people who had come to say goodbye. Cubs clung to her legs. Adults pressed their foreheads to hers in the Korath gesture of deep affection. Yunji had given her a necklace made of carved wooden beads, each one shaped like a different food. Taiho could not stop crying. The ship's captain, a stern woman named Lieutenant Hemin Kang, stared at the scene with her mouth hanging open. What exactly happened here? She asked when Yuna finally boarded the ship. Yuna smiled. I made them dinner. 3 weeks later, Yuna stood in the office of Admiral Dong Wuhan at Federation Command. The admiral was a tall man with gray hair and sharp eyes that had seen 3 wars and countless diplomatic incidents. Nothing surprised him anymore, or so he thought. Let me understand this correctly, he said, leaning back in his chair. The Korath have rejected all contact with the galactic community for 200 years. They have killed every diplomat we sent. They destroyed the trade ships that tried to land on their worlds. They are considered one of the most hostile species in the sector. That's correct, sir, Yuna said. And you're telling me that they have now sent us a formal request for alliance. They want to join the Federation. They want cultural exchange programs and trade agreements and diplomatic relations. Yes, sir, because you made them stew. Yuna considered this. Technically, it was a roast with a tuber mash and a fruit glaze reduction. Admiral Han stared at her for a long moment. Then he did something Yuna had never seen a superior officer do. He laughed. He laughed until tears streamed down his face, and he had to hold on to his desk for support. 200 years, he wheezed. 200 years of failed diplomacy, and a stranded pilot solves everything with a cooking pot. The alliance negotiations took 6 months. Yuna was present for all of them, serving as the only human who had earned the Korath's trust. Grandmother Suk herself traveled to Federation headquarters. The first time a Korath matriarch had left their homeworld in living memory. The old leader had one condition for the alliance. One demand that she refused to compromise on. She wanted cooking schools. The Korath wanted to learn everything humans knew about food preparation. They wanted recipe databases and culinary training programs. They wanted to send their young people to human worlds to study under master chefs. And they wanted human cooks to come to Korath worlds and teach their techniques. Food brought us back to life, Grandmother Suk said through her translator at the final signing ceremony. We want to share that gift with every Korath on every world. This is not negotiable. The Federation agreed immediately. It was the strangest alliance condition in diplomatic history, but it was also the easiest to fulfill. 3 years passed. Yuna had returned to active duty, but she visited the Korath homeworld whenever she could. She watched as cooking became central to Korath culture. Families now gathered around meal preparation, the way they had once gathered around hunts. Cubs learned to cook before they learned to fight. The making and sharing of food had become a sacred act, a way of expressing love and building community. The change spread to other Korath settlements on other worlds. Everywhere the cooking knowledge traveled, the same transformation happened. Clans that had been dying found new reasons to live. Communities that had been falling apart came back together around shared meals. On the 3rd anniversary of Yuna's rescue, the first Korath restaurant opened on Earth. It was located in Seoul, just a few blocks from where Yuna had grown up. The building was designed to look like a Korath cave, with stone walls and warm lighting and tables arranged in family groups. Taeho ran the kitchen. He had spent 2 years studying at the finest culinary schools on 3 different planets, and he had become something of a celebrity. His face was on cooking shows. His recipes were downloaded millions of times. Humans lined up for hours to taste his creations. Yunji had come with him, too old now to cook, but happy to sit in the dining room and watch people enjoy their meals. She wore her traditional Korath clothing and told stories about the old days to anyone who would listen. The restaurant was called The One Bite. Its motto, printed on every menu in 17 different languages, was the phrase that Grandmother Suk had spoken at the Alliance signing. Give with an open hand, and the universe will fill it. On opening night, Una walked through the front door to find the place packed with humans and Korath eating together, talking together, laughing together. The smell of cooking filled the air, a blend of human and Korath traditions that was somehow better than either one alone. Taiho rushed out from the kitchen to embrace her. His Korath had improved enormously, and his tail still wagged when he was happy. "Look," he said, gesturing at the crowded room. "Look what you started." Una looked. She saw human children sharing food with Korath cubs. She saw elderly Korath teaching young humans how to properly season meat. She saw two species that had been strangers 3 years ago now sitting together like family. "I didn't start this," she said softly. 3 hungry cubs started this. I just gave them a bite of stew." Taiho led her to a special table in the back of the restaurant. Mounted on the wall above it, in a glass case, was a small, battered metal container. It was dented and scratched, clearly old and well-used. It was the bowl Una had used to feed the cubs on that first day in the forest. A small plaque beneath it read, "In both human and Korath, where it all began." Una sat down at the table and looked at that old bowl. She thought about her grandmother, who had taught her that food was love. She thought about 3 hungry cubs who had been brave enough to approach a strange creature. She thought about a clan of wolf people who had been dying without knowing why, and who had found salvation in the simple act of sharing a meal. 1 bite. That was all it had taken to change everything. Taiho brought her a plate of food, a new dish he had created just for this night. It combined human cooking techniques with Korath ingredients. A perfect blend of 2 worlds. Una took a bite and closed her eyes. It was delicious. And somewhere out there in the galaxy, on a dozen different worlds, humans and Korath were sitting down to eat together. They were sharing food and sharing stories and building something that would last for generations. All because one lost pilot had decided to feed 3 hungry children. Give with an open hand. The universe had filled it beyond anything Una could have imagined. She returned from patrol wounded. The cubs refused to let her walk unaided. Part 1. The return. The airlock doors opened with a soft hiss, and Lieutenant Una stepped through into Station Bright Hollow. Her left leg screamed with pain. Blood had soaked through the emergency bandage she had wrapped around the wound hours ago. The fabric was now dark red and wet. She had survived. That was more than she could say for the rest of her team. The mission was supposed to be simple. A patrol through the asteroid belt. Check for pirate activity. Report back. Nothing dangerous. Nothing special. But the pirates had been waiting. They had known the patrol route. They had set a trap. Una remembered the explosion that tore through the hull of her ship. She remembered Sergeant Dohan shouting orders before a piece of metal went through his chest. She remembered Corporal Minji trying to seal the breach before the vacuum took her. She remembered being alone, bleeding, trying to fly a broken ship back to safety. She had made it. Somehow, she had made it. Now she just needed to reach the medical bay. It was not far. Maybe 5 minutes of walking. She could do that. She had done harder things today. Una took 1 step forward. Her leg buckled. She caught herself against the wall, breathing hard through her teeth. The pain was worse than she had thought. Much worse. She pushed herself off the wall and tried again. Another step. Another wave of agony. But she kept moving. Humans were good at that. They kept moving, even when everything told them to stop. The corridor of Station Bright Hollow was busy with aliens of many species. Vertal merchants with their many tentacles, Kelish engineers with their 4 arms and quick fingers, Mirithi warriors with their golden fur and proud faces. All of them had come to this station for trade, for diplomacy, for the promise of peace between worlds. Most of them ignored Una as she limped past. Humans were new to the galaxy. They had only made contact with other species 20 years ago. To most aliens, humans were small, weak, and unimportant. Just another young species trying to find their place among the stars. Una did not mind being ignored. She just wanted to reach medical. She just wanted to stop bleeding. Then the cubs appeared. 3 young Mirithi blocked her path. They were children, with soft fur and big golden eyes. The tallest one was maybe 12 years old, by human counting. The smallest was barely more than a baby. Una recognized them. How could she not? 3 weeks ago, there had been a fire in the lower levels of the station. A power conduit had exploded. The flames had spread fast, filling the corridors with thick black smoke. Most of the station's residents had evacuated quickly, but these 3 cubs had been trapped in a storage room, cut off from their parents by a wall of fire. Una had been nearby when she heard their screams. She had not thought about it. She had not calculated the risks. She had simply run into the smoke. The smoke had burned her lungs. The heat had blistered her skin. She had found the cubs huddled together, crying, terrified. She had picked up the smallest one and told the other 2 to follow her. Then she had led them through the fire, through the smoke, through the pain. She had gotten burns on her hands, burns on her arms. The doctors had told her she was lucky to be alive. The cub's father, a Mirithi commander named Tal, had thanked her formally. It had been a stiff, proud thank you, the kind that said he was grateful but did not want to owe a human anything. Una had not expected anything more. She had not saved those children for thanks or rewards. She had saved them because they needed saving. Now those same children stood before her, blocking her path to medical. The tallest one, a boy named Ro, stepped forward. His young face was serious. Too serious for someone so young. Human Una, he said. You are hurt. I am fine, Una said. The lie came automatically. She was not fine. She was far from fine. But admitting weakness was not something she did easily. Please move. I need to reach medical. She tried to step around them. Her leg gave out again. Ro caught her before she could fall. His arms were surprisingly strong. Even young Mirithi were powerful. Their muscles were denser than human muscles. Their bones were harder. You are not fine, Ro said firmly. You are bleeding. You will fall. I can make it, Una insisted. I just need to... No. The voice came from the smallest cub. Little Bira, with her fluffy fur and her milk teeth still showing. She pressed herself against Una's side, careful to avoid the injured leg but staying close. We will help, Bira said. You helped us. Now we help you. Una opened her mouth to argue, to tell them she did not need help, to tell them she could take care of herself. But Kel, the middle cub, had already moved to her other side. He positioned himself under her arm, taking some of her weight. His young face was determined. Lean on us, Kel said. We are strong enough. Una looked at the 3 cubs surrounding her. She thought about arguing. She thought about pushing them away and continuing alone, but her leg hurt so much. And they were looking at her with such fierce determination, such stubborn care. Okay, she said softly. Okay. She let herself lean on them. Ro on one side, Kel on the other, little Bira walking in front to clear the path. They began to move together, slowly, carefully. Other aliens in the corridor stopped to stare. A Vertal merchant froze in the middle of a transaction. 2 Kelish engineers stopped arguing. A group of Mirithi warriors stood at the end of the corridor, their golden eyes wide with shock. Una did not understand why everyone was staring. She did not know that among the Mirathi, helping someone walk was a sacred act. She did not know that it meant claiming that person as family. She did not know that cubs never made such claims. She only knew that her leg hurt less with their help. She only knew that their small bodies were warm against hers. She only knew that for the first time in a very long day, she did not feel alone. "Thank you," she whispered. "You carried Bira through fire," Ro said simply. "You came back for us. This is what we owe. You do not owe me anything." Ro looked up at her with his golden eyes. Young eyes in a young face. But there was something old in them. Something wise. "Then we do it because we want to," he said. "Is that not better?" Una had no answer for that. So she just kept walking, supported by 3 cubs who refused to let her fall. She returned from patrol wounded. The cubs refused to let her walk unaided. Part 2. The walk to the medical bay should have taken 5 minutes. With the cubs helping her, it took almost 30. They moved slowly, carefully. Ro had positioned himself under Una's right arm, taking most of her weight. His young muscles strained with the effort, but he did not complain. He did not slow down. He just kept walking step by step, matching his pace to hers. Cal walked ahead of them. He moved obstacles out of the way before Una could reach them. A supply crate here. A cleaning drone there. A group of chatting merchants who did not notice the injured human approaching. Cal cleared them all, his small body bristling with protective energy, and Bira held Una's hand. The little cub's clawed fingers were wrapped around the human's palm, careful not to scratch, just holding on. Bira hummed softly as they walked. A simple tune, something that sounded like a lullaby. "Bira," Una said gently, "you do not have to hold my hand." "I want to," Bira said. "Your hand is warm." Una did not argue. The truth was, the small hand in hers felt nice. It felt grounding. It reminded her that she was not alone in this cold metal station floating in the dark of space. They passed through the main corridor of Station Bright Hollow. This was where most of the station's business happened. Shops lined the walls. Restaurants served food from 100 different worlds. Aliens of every shape and size moved through the crowd, and every single one of them stopped to stare. Una noticed the looks. She felt the eyes on her. But she did not understand what she was seeing. She did not know why a Mirathi warrior in full armor had dropped his weapon in shock. She did not know why an elderly Mirathi woman had covered her mouth with both hands. She did not know why whispers were spreading through the crowd like fire. "Why is everyone staring?" Una asked quietly. Ro was silent for a moment. Then he spoke, his voice careful. "Among my people, helping someone walk is significant." "Significant how?" "It means claiming them. As family. As pride kin." Ro paused. "It is usually done by adults. By parents or siblings or mates. Cubs do not make such claims. It is considered too serious for us." Una felt her chest tighten. "Then you should not be helping me. You will get in trouble." "Perhaps," Ro said. "I do not care. Ro, you ran into fire for us." Ro's voice was firm, steady. "The smoke was poison to you. We could smell your fear. But you came back anyway. You carried Bira when your own skin was burning. You told us to keep moving when the ceiling was falling around us." He looked up at her with those golden eyes. "How could we do less for you?" Una did not know what to say. So she said nothing. They kept walking. The crowd parted before them. No one tried to stop them. No one spoke to them. They just watched. The humans in the crowd looked confused. The Mirathi looked stunned. Other species just seemed curious. A Kelish engineer stepped closer, his 4 arms folded across his chest. "What is happening here?" He asked another alien nearby. Why are those cubs with that human? They are claiming her, the other alien whispered back. As family. The cubs are saying that human belongs to them. But that is, I know. Una heard none of this. Her focus had narrowed to putting one foot in front of the other. The pain in her leg was getting worse. The bandage was completely soaked now. She could feel blood running down her skin, dripping onto the floor. We are almost there, Kel said from ahead. I can see the medical bay. Good, Una said through gritted teeth. That is good. Bira squeezed her hand tighter. You are very brave, human Una. I am just stubborn, Una said with a weak smile. Humans are stubborn. Stubborn is good, Bira said seriously. Stubborn means you do not give up. They rounded a corner, and the medical bay doors came into view. Una felt relief wash over her. She had made it. She was going to be okay. Then she saw the Marathi warrior standing outside the medical bay. He was massive. Easily twice her size. His mane was streaked with silver, and his body was covered in old scars. He wore the armor of a commander. His face was hard as stone. Commander Tal, the cub's father. He was looking directly at them. At his children. At the human they were helping walk. Ro tensed beside Una. Kel stopped moving. Even Bira went quiet. Father, Ro said carefully. We were just... Tal raised one large hand. The movement was slow, deliberate. Everyone went silent. For a long moment, no one spoke. No one moved. The corridor seemed to hold its breath. Then Tal stepped aside. He moved away from the medical bay doors, clearing the path. His face showed nothing. No anger, no approval. Nothing at all. Get her inside, Tal said quietly. She is losing too much blood. The cubs moved immediately. They guided Una through the doors and into the medical bay. The doors closed behind them, shutting out the staring crowd. Yuna let out a breath she did not know she had been holding. Your father, she said to Ro. He looked angry. He looked surprised, Ro corrected. I have never seen him surprised before. Is that a good thing? Ro considered this question. I do not know. But I do not regret what we did. Whatever happens, I do not regret it. Kel nodded firmly. Neither do I. Bira just squeezed Una's hand again. You are ours now, the little cub said simply. That is just how it is. Una wanted to argue. She wanted to tell them that she could not be theirs. She was human. They were Marathi. They were different species from different worlds. But she was tired. So tired. And the medical bay was bright and clean and safe. Okay, she whispered. Okay, the cub smiled. 3 small, proud, furry smiles, and Una smiled back. She returned from patrol wounded. The cubs refused to let her walk unaided. Part 4. The witnessy Una woke to the sound of arguing. Her eyes opened slowly. The medical bay was darker now. Someone had dimmed the lights. Through the window, she could see stars. It was night cycle on the station. The cubs were still there. Bira was asleep against her side, breathing softly. Cal was curled up in a ball on a chair, snoring. But Ro was awake. And so was Commander THL. The two of them stood near the door, speaking in low voices. They spoke in the Marathi language. Una did not understand the words, but she understood the tone. Tal sounded angry. Ro sounded stubborn. This had been going on for a while. Una could tell. The tension in the room was thick, heavy. She tried to sit up. Pain shot through her leg. She gasped. Both Marathi turned to look at her. You should not move, Tal said. His voice was deep, cold. Your wound is not fully healed. I am fine, Una said automatically. You are always fine, Ro muttered. Even when you are not. Tal looked at his son. Something passed between them. Something Yuna could not read. Then Tal walked toward the bed. Each step was slow, deliberate. He was a massive creature. Standing next to the bed, he towered over Yuna like a mountain. She did not feel afraid. She was too tired to feel afraid. Human Yuna, Tal said formally. My children have done something today. Something significant. Do you understand what they have done? Yuna thought about the walk through the station, the singing during her surgery, the way Bira kept calling her hours. They have claimed me, she said slowly. As family. Tal nodded. Yes, among my people, when cubs claim an adult as family, it is a serious thing. It cannot be undone. It is for life. He paused. They have claimed you without asking permission, without understanding the weight of what they did. We understand, Rose said firmly. We are not stupid, Father. We know what we did. You are children. Children can know things. Rose stepped forward. His small body was tense with anger, with determination. We know that she saved us. We know that she could have died saving us. We know that she was afraid, but she came anyway. We could smell her fear, Father. We could smell it on her skin. But she ran into fire for us. Tal was silent. Ro continued. You always taught us that courage is doing what is right, even when you are afraid. You taught us that honor is helping those who cannot help themselves. You taught us that family is not about blood. It is about choice. He pointed at Yuna. She made a choice. She chose us. Now we choose her. The room was very quiet. While Yuan watched Tal's face. She tried to read his expression. But the old warrior gave nothing away. His face was stone. Then he spoke. And if I forbid this? Ro's chin lifted. Then I will disobey you. The words hung in the air like thunder. Among the Mirathi, disobeying a parent was a serious thing. Cubs were expected to honor their elders, to follow their commands, to respect their wisdom. For a cub to openly defy his father was almost unheard of. Tal stared at his son. For a long moment, no one moved. No one breathed. Then Tal laughed. It was a deep sound. A rumbling sound. It shook his whole body. It was not a mocking laugh. It was a surprised laugh. An impressed laugh. You have grown brave, my son, Tal said. Braver than I knew. Ro blinked. You are not angry? I am many things. Tal sat down in a chair near the bed. The chair groaned under his weight. I am surprised. I am confused. He paused, searching for the word. I am proud. Proud? You saw something your elders did not see. You saw worth where we saw only difference. Tal looked at Yuna, really looked at her. Not as a human, not as an alien, just as a person. I watched the recording from the fire. I watched this small, fragile human run into smoke that was poison to her. I watched her carry my daughter while her own skin was burning. I watched her go back, again and again, until all three of my children were safe. He leaned forward. Do you know what I thought, human Yuna? When I first saw that recording, Yuna shook her head. I thought it was a mistake. I thought you must have had a reason. Some benefit you were seeking. Some reward you wanted. Tal's voice grew softer. Among my people, we do not risk our lives for strangers. We protect our own. We let others protect theirs. That is the way of things. Humans are different, Yuna said quietly. Yes, I am learning this. Tal looked at his sleeping children. At Bira curled against Yuna's side. At Kel snoring in his chair. At Rose standing straight with pride. My children learned it faster than I did. Perhaps that is how it should be. The young see what the old cannot. He stood up. He was so tall, so strong. But there was something gentle in his eyes now. Something soft. Human Yuna, he said formally. My children have claimed you as pride kin, as family. If you accept this claim, you will be Mirathi in our eyes. You will have our protection, our support, our loyalty, forever. Una looked at the cubs, at these strange, wonderful children who had decided she was worth keeping. She thought about her own life, her empty quarters, her dead teammates, her family back on Earth who she had not seen in years. She thought about how lonely she had been. How cold. I accept, she said. Tal nodded. Just once, a small movement, but it carried the weight of worlds. Then it is done. He placed his large hand over his heart. Welcome to our pride, Una, sister of my children, daughter of my house. Ro made a sound, a happy sound, a young, joyful sound that did not match his serious face. Mira stirred against Una's side. Her golden eyes opened. Did it work? She asked sleepily. Is she ours now? Tal smiled. It changed his whole face, made him look younger, kinder. Yes, little one. She is yours now. Bira smiled and closed her eyes again. Good, she murmured. I knew she would stay. And Una, lying in a medical bed surrounded by her new family, felt something she had not felt in a very long time. She felt like she belonged. She returned from patrol wounded. The cubs refused to let her walk unaided. Part 5. The Dawn. The story spread like fire across the galaxy. Within a week, everyone on Station Bright Hollow knew about the human woman and the Mirathi cubs. They knew about the fire. They knew about the walk through the station. They knew about the adoption. Within a month, the story had reached the Mirathi homeworld. The elders of the Mirathi were confused, angry. Some said the cubs had shamed their species by claiming an outsider. Some said Tal should have stopped them. Some said humans were not worthy of such honor. But the younger Mirathi listened differently. They watched the recordings of Una running into the fire. They saw her small body carrying Bira through the smoke. They saw her burns, her fear, her determination. And they began to ask questions. If a human could be so brave, perhaps humans were not as weak as everyone thought. If a human could love Mirathi children enough to die for them, perhaps humans were not so different after all. The questions spread. They grew. They became debates, arguments, conversations that changed the way Mirathi thought about their place in the galaxy. But Una knew nothing of this. She was too busy learning how to be a mother. The cubs moved into her quarters 2 weeks after she left the medical bay. Tal had been called away on military duty. He would be gone for months. The cubs needed someone to watch over them. I do not know how to take care of children, Una had said when Tal first suggested it. Neither did I, Tal replied. You learn. So Una learned. She learned that Mirathi cubs needed to be brushed every day or their fur became tangled. She learned that they liked to sleep in piles, all 3 of them curled together like puppies. She learned that Ro pretended to be brave but still had nightmares about the fire. She learned that Kel loved to read and would stay up all night with a good book if she let him. She learned that Bira was afraid of the dark and needed a small light on to sleep. She learned their favorite foods, their favorite games, their favorite songs. She learned how to braid Bira's mane in the way she liked. She learned how to help Ro with his combat training, even though he was already stronger than her. She learned how to listen to Kel read aloud for hours without falling asleep. It was hard work. Harder than anything she had done in the military. But it was good work. Work that mattered. And slowly, the empty place inside her began to fill. 6 months after the fire, Una received a promotion. She was now Captain Una, one of the youngest officers in the United Earth Patrol Corps. The ceremony was held in the main hall of Station Bright Hollow. Hundreds of aliens gathered to watch. Humans, Mirathi, Verdal, Kelish, species from a dozen different worlds. Una stood at the front of the hall in her dress uniform. Her leg had healed completely. Only a small scar remained. The Mirathi ambassador himself performed the ceremony. He was an old warrior, older even than tall. His fur was white with age. His voice was deep and slow. "Captain Una," he said, "you have shown great courage in service to your species. But today, we honor something more than courage. We honor connection, understanding, the bridge you have built between our peoples." He paused. His ancient eyes looked at the cubs standing beside Una. Ro, nearly as tall as her now. Cal, still clutching a book in his hands. Bira, holding Una's hand as always. 3 children saw what adults could not see, the ambassador continued. They saw that courage has no species, that love has no borders, that family is not about blood or fur or skin. It is about choice, about standing with someone, about refusing to let them walk alone. He turned back to Una. "Human Una, do you accept the responsibilities of your new rank?" "I do," Una said. "Do you promise to serve with honor, courage, and compassion?" "I do. Then by the power given to me, I name you captain." He placed a medal on her chest. Then he added more quietly, "And by the traditions of my people, I name you Mirathi. Blood of our blood, pride of our pride." The crowd cheered. Humans and Mirathi together, a sound that had never been heard before. That night, there was a feast in Una's quarters. The cubs had prepared food from both human and Mirathi recipes. Most of it was burned or undercooked, or somehow both at the same time. But Una ate every bite and told them it was delicious. "Are you happy?" Bira asked later, when the food was finished and they were all sitting together on the couch. Una thought about the question. She thought about her old life, her empty quarters, her loneliness, her grief. She thought about her new life. The noise, the mess, the chaos of 3 children who needed her. "Yes," she said, "I am happy." Bira smiled and curled closer. "Good, because we are happy too." Ro nodded seriously. "We made the right choice. When we helped you that day, I have never doubted it." "Neither have I," Kel said quietly. He was reading again, but he had been listening. He always listened. Una put her arms around them. All 3 of them. Her strange, wonderful, furry children. "You know," she said softly, "when I came back to the station that day, I thought my life was over. My team was dead. My ship was destroyed. I had nothing left. You had us," Bira said. "I did not know that yet, but we knew." Ro looked up at her. His golden eyes were warm. "We knew the moment we saw you in that corridor, bleeding, hurt, but still standing, still trying." He shook his head. "Humans are strange creatures. You are small, fragile. Your lives are so short, but you never give up. You keep fighting. You keep hoping. You keep walking, even when everything tells you to stop." He smiled. A rare smile. A true smile. "That is why we claimed you. Because you are human. And humans are worth claiming." Una felt tears in her eyes. Again, she seemed to cry a lot more these days. But they were good tears. Happy tears. "Thank you," she whispered, "for not letting me walk alone." "Never," Bira said, squeezing her hand. "That is what family does." And outside the window, the stars shone bright and cold and endless. A galaxy full of wonders. A galaxy full of danger. A galaxy full of beings who did not understand each other. But in one small room, on one small station, a human and 3 Mirathi cubs sat together. A family built not by blood, but by choice, by courage, by love. And that was enough. That was more than enough. That was everything.